Chancellor has announced that more pensioners are to receive winter fuel payments this year. The announcement extends the number of people eligible for the allowance to 9 million. The decision to limit the winter fuel payment to only those who claim pension credit was one of Labour's first acts in government and aimed at balancing what was described as a £22 billion black hole in public finances. Well, let's bring in our political correspondent, Liz Bates, who joins us now. And Liz, just tell us more about who's impacted by this.
Well, first of all, I mean, this is quite the political U-turn. This was a flagship policy when this government came into office. The Chancellor announced it even before she delivered her first budget, and it was said to be absolutely necessary because of the economic situation that they found the country. And it just goes to show that when the politics change, the economics can be changed to fit around that. And I think that's what we're seeing with this government. There's been so much pressure on them from their own MPs, but also politically here in Westminster, and I think just from a lot of Labour members and Labour voters who felt that they had voted this government in. They wanted to see a change compared to the Conservative government years, and they were confused, I think, as to why this was one of their first big flagship policies. So now we see this change, and it is a very significant change. They've changed the threshold hugely. So the winter fuel payment was initially a universal benefit. It went to every pensioner in the country. The change, the initial change, means tested it, bringing it right down. So it was only pensioners that were earning just under £12,000 a year that became eligible. That was just a very small fraction of pensioners. Well, now they have raised that threshold quite significantly. Let me read out the statement today that we've had from the Chancellor. What she says is, everyone over the state pension age in England and Wales with an income of or below £35,000 a year will benefit from a winter fuel payment this winter. This increased threshold means no lower or middle income pensioners will miss out, with the vast majority, over three-quarters of pensioners in England and Wales receiving the payment. Support will continue to be targeted, with pensioners above this threshold having the payment automatically recovered or able to opt out. It goes on, 9 million pensioners will receive winter fuel payments this winter, as all pensioners in England and Wales with an income of or below £35,000 a year will benefit from a winter fuel payment. The eligibility now has extended to 9 million pensioners. That is a huge, huge U-turn, well over three-quarters of pensioners. It still means tested, but this has changed the policy significantly.
Like we say, huge U-turn. It was a big flagship announcement. Wasn't taken well when it was made, but it was a big policy announcement at the beginning of this government's term in office. Why now? Why do it on Monday, the 9th of June? What's been the pressure point that has really kind of forced them to do that U-turn?
Lots of different pressure points. As I say, it was one of their first big policy announcements when they came into government, and they have been getting pressure from voters, from MPs. It's been building up over the months, and I think we're seeing it this week because we're getting a spending review on Wednesday. That spending review will set out the government's spending priorities for the entire Parliament. So we will find out where what is top of their agenda in terms of how to spend their money. We think health and defence will be a big area of spending for this government, but there will also be areas of cuts as well. So it gives the Chancellor the opportunity to massage the public finances, if you like, to find this extra money to pay for the winter fuel payment. So I think what you're seeing today is ahead of the spending review. They're trying to get this announcement out, get it out of the way, and try to undo some of that political damage which is becoming very corrosive around the winter fuel payment. I think it became clear that that was not going to go away. I think they were concerned that it was going to hang over the entire Parliament and really overshadow any of the government's achievements. So this is a political decision. The economics of it will be set out in more detail on Wednesday.
Like you say, we're going to get more, and we'll have plenty more coverage on Wednesday as well. The key figure for individuals is this £35,000. Incomes of or below £35,000 a year will benefit from the winter fuel payment. What's the key figure for the government? How much are they estimating this will cost them?
I think we'll get more details on that on Wednesday, so that will all be set out, and I think that's part of the plan. That's why it was announced early this week, because they will hope, I think, that it gets lost in all of those big numbers that come out on Wednesday. But we'll get those details, and that is when we will get, as I say, a much clearer idea of where the government's priorities are. But look, even the top line of how much they spend on this policy will not really reflect the actual cost of it. It was supposed to save them billions. They came in, they said there was this big black hole in the public finances. One of the first things that happened was when the government announced this policy and linked it to pension credit, there was then a drive to get anybody eligible, and there were lots of pensioners that were eligible for pension credit that weren't claiming it. There was a big drive to get lots of those people to sign on so that they could continue to get the winter fuel payment. So there's the extra payment of paying out much more in pension credit and then changing the means testing in such a significant way. So I think that we'll find out the real cost of this, but I think that the greater cost is much, much bigger for the government. I think in the end, it really did not save them anywhere near the amount of money that they hoped it would, and they will have to find those savings somewhere else. So that is something that we'll keep an eye on Wednesday in the spending review.